Deni Avdija is one of the top prospects in the 2020 NBA draft. Standing at 6'9" and with a very versatile game, Avdija might not only be the best international prospect from the pool, but also the best forward in the class as well. As it happens every year with the growing number of European prospects that make themselves eligible for the draft, it's very hard to compare them to the prospects coming out of the NCAA's college basketball system. But in what's generally perceived as a weak draft class, Avdija has emerged as a clear-cut, bright young star who many people in the NBA community are still sleeping on. Today, we will take a look at future NBA superstar Deni Avdija, the top 2020 NBA draft prospect nobody is talking about. But before we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. An Israeli-Serbian, Deni Avdija was born on January 3, 2001. Son of former Israel professional basketball player Zufer Avdija, Deni played association football until the 4th grade, when he shifted focus toward his father's beloved sport. Developing a smart basketball mind, Avdija began competing at the youth level with the Bnei Herzliya Basketball Club. But at 13 years of age, he was recruited by Maccabi Tel Aviv, one of the most famous Israeli franchises that also competes in the Euroleague. From 2017 to 2019, Avdija led his team to 3 straight Israeli Youth State Championships, while making some short appearances for the senior team. Deni became the youngest player to ever play for Maccabi Tel Aviv's major team. But it wasn't until late 2019 when Avdija became a regular on the senior team and quickly cemented himself as one of the best young European players. He was on an absolute roll early in the season, making his first Euroleague start and being a leading scorer in games more often than not. By the end of January 2020, he was named Israeli Player of the Month. His slam dunk over former NBA player Luigi Datomi would go on to be named EuroLeague Magic Moment of the Season. Avdija was having a revelation season few saw coming this early on. But then the coronavirus pandemic forced a stoppage of play, and Deni's magical breakout season was abruptly paused. When the leagues resumed play about 3 months later, Avdija stepped back on the court looking better than ever. He led his team to victory after victory and looked like a true star at just 19 years of age. By the end of the season, Avdija became the youngest player ever to win the Israeli MVP award. He was also the Israeli League Player of the Year and an All-Israeli first-team member. A star had just been born in front of everybody's eyes. But what is Avdija's game like? Let's take a deeper look at the skill set and capabilities that have helped Deni Avdija position himself as one of this year's premier prospects in the NBA draft. For starters, Avdija has the professional basketball experience that many of the American prospects don't. Of course, the level of play in Israel and in America isn't that much comparable. But playing in a league of grown-up adults and in a locker room filled with mature players isn't as easy as hanging around with college peers and facing teams that have similar personnel in terms of body development and physical tools. Deni has proven he can win and dominate at the highest professional level in his country, which is something that comes in very handy when making the transition into the NBA. Avdija is an all-around wing that has a great size at 6'9". He can play both small forward and shooting guard, giving his diverse skill set. And you could even make a case for him as a light power forward on the offensive end. He's been tagged as a jack-of-all-trades type of player, as he's literally capable of filling most every role a team needs from a perimeter player. He has everything needed to become the league's next great point forward. As many of the top European prospects do, Avdija has a great basketball IQ and top-notch court vision for his age, while having below-average athleticism traits. A comparison with Luka Doncic this early on could be considered premature by some, given Luka's ridiculously quick ascent to superstar level. But Avdija can for sure be the next coming of Doncic as he develops his game. The thing that makes him so valuable is the fact that he's a skilled guy that can make things happen when the ball is in his hands, whether for himself or for his teammates. Deni has an elite court vision that makes him a big threat. He may not be a primary ball handler type of player, but he's the perfect secondary ball handling option many teams need. He can run an offense, hit cutters with accurate passes from multiple angles, or get himself enough space with his dribbling abilities for a shot in close. He particularly enjoys running high pick-and-roll actions to force the defense to move, preferring to drive to his dominant right. His high IQ makes the difference between a lost possession and making something out of nothing. Avdija isn't the quickest player, meaning he won't be outrunning the faster guys in the league, but his decision-making is as quick as it can be for a 19-year-old. He always seems to have an answer for most every adverse situation. He's also very fond of taking the ball inside the paint and finishing through contact. He lacks the athleticism that separates the elite above-the-rim finishers from the rest of the crowd, but he has the finishing skills that make up for that lack of explosiveness and athleticism. He has a nice pump fake that makes defenders bite and in turn leave Avdija open for easier looks inside the paint. The one big hole in his game is his free throw shooting. For a guy that likes to do a lot of damage in the paint, his 56% career free throw shooting percentage is very, very alarming. This could become a serious problem in the NBA if he isn't capable of making paint defenders pay for hacking him. It's even more concerning when you consider good free throw shooting usually correlates with good three-point shooting, another area that Avdija doesn't have fully covered. Deni Avdija would probably be the consensus #1 overall pick if he had a consistent, lethal three-point jumper and more solid free throw numbers. He has the perfect modern shot chart analytical gurus look for in this day and age, mainly paint and three-point shots. Thus far, he's been inconsistent as a volume three-point shooter. His shooting stroke looks very nice and much improved, outside of the rather flat arc in his shot, and he's actually a very good corner three-point marksman. He struggles the most consistency-wise when he tries to expand his range beyond the break. His shaky shooting from the perimeter is something he should work on relentlessly once he gets to the NBA, because that's truly what will make him stand out when looking back at the 2020 class. Fortunately for him, and unlike many of the prospects at his age, Avdija is already a serviceable defender at this stage of his career. He probably won't ever win a Defensive Player of the Year award, but his basketball IQ allows him to read switches on time and move his body quite well on the defensive end. He has a short 6'9" wingspan relative to his height, but he can stay in front of most perimeter players. He is also a solid rebounder and a better shot blocker than you'd expect due to his lack of athletic gifts. Avdija is best suited as a perimeter defender and will hold his own there, so having him defend power forwards, especially the bigger, bulkier power forwards, may not be the smartest decision. All in all, Avdija is the modern basketball player every franchise covets. Given all of the uncertainties surrounding this year's draft thanks to the effects of the coronavirus pandemic, it's hard to tell exactly where he'll land. He's a good pick as far up as #2 overall, but given the lack of hype around him, he could fall as far as #8 or 9. But one thing is certain, Avdija will make an impact once he makes it to the NBA. Do you think Deni Avdija can become a superstar in the NBA? What team do you think will take a chance on him? Tell us in the comments down below. And once again, make sure to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching another Swish Central video, and join us next time for more NBA basketball content.